Hello everyone, Charles Watts here. Welcome back to Inside Arsenal. It is Monday. I hope the start of the week is going well wherever you're watching or listening to this around the world. Bank holiday over here in the UK, so have a good one if you're over here and you've got a bit of free time before going back to work tomorrow. Sun shining. Should be a nice day, and it's the start of another week for Arsenal. A week, of course, that is going to end with a very small matter of a trip to Anfield on Sunday. You've got lots of time to talk about that as the week goes on. There's going to be lots of debate over who should be starting that game. A lot depends on injuries, of course, which we're going to talk about in today's show. We've got some good news on injury front. Don't often say that with Arsenal. So we'll talk about that. Bukayo, Saka, Martinelli, Odegaard. Of course, we've got bits and pieces as well to sort of round up on. We're going to talk about Gabriel Jesus. He posted a video yesterday of him training at the training ground, of course, but on the grass with the ball as well. So his recovery, 7 months on from that ACL injury suffered against Manchester United in the FA Cup, is really stepping up now. So really, really good news. So we've got lots to talk about today, but we've got to start with injuries. Obviously, Saturday was a brilliant day at the Emirates. Fantastic 5-0 win. So many good things. Gyökeres's goals, Dalman's debut, Eze's unveiling. Just a near perfect day for Arsenal. But the two things, were of course the injuries to Martin Odegaard first half, Bukayo Saka in the second half. Martin Odegaard going down with some sort of shoulder injury when he landed on it awkwardly in the first half. Saka pulling up, holding his hamstring early on in the second half. Obviously, terrible news on the back of losing Kai Havertz, Ben White not being around, Christian Norgard not having played yet this season because of injury after his signing from Brentford. It was the last thing he needed, especially, as I said, with that trip to Anfield coming up this weekend. We all feared the worst. Of course, we feared the worst because we're Arsenal fans and we're pessimists when it comes to injuries. We've been hurt enough by injuries. But there is good news on these two. It is not as bad as first feared. They had their scans yesterday, and the early sort of comeback from those scans is not that bad. Now, there is still plenty of time to go. Arsenal still need to further assess these scans. And, I couldn't sit here right now and put a time frame on it. And of course, when you say it's not that bad, it could still be weeks out for someone like, for Saka, he could still certainly miss Liverpool. And then obviously we've got the international break, which might help, but it's all kind of relative. Obviously, first feared, we're like, oh my God, he's just come back from 4 months out with a torn hamstring. Is it going to be that? So it's all kind of relative when I say it's not terrible news. It's better than it was first feared, but there is still, you're still looking at missing some games, which isn't ideal at all, because you want Bukayo Saka playing against Liverpool. You want Martin Odegaard playing against Liverpool. And when I say good news, I don't necessarily mean they're going to be back for that game this weekend, but it is not as bad as first feared, as I said. So the scans were yesterday. Those scans did not show up anything, brutally wrong. There is relief. There is definitely relief from people that I've spoken to, certainly close to the players, that it's not as bad as we initially thought it could be, and they're not seemingly sort of staring a really, really long layoff in the face. So I think we can all breathe a little bit easier by that. Arsenal will assess some more over the next couple of days as things start to settle down. I think then they'll get more of a clue in terms of the actual time frame, how long they could be out for. If they're even going to miss this weekend, I don't know. I have not been given any sort of time frame. No one that I've spoken to has said anything about that. There is just definite sense of relief around the place. So on the player side and on the club side, that they're not looking at a massive layoff this early stage of the season, which would have been a crying shame for many reasons, obviously, but just the reasons that there's two so influential players in this team, and you want to start the season so well, and Arsenal got such a tricky start to the season. You want your best players involved. Bukayo Saka and Martin Odegaard are certainly two of Arsenal's best players. So, yeah, good news, but we'll have to wait another couple of days, I think. I'm not sure we'll actually, from a sort of public point of view, I'd be surprised. The way Mikel sort of handles injury situations, especially when there's big games looming large, I think we all know how tactically he'll sort of shut things down. And so when we hear from him at his press conference, whether we actually get a sort of firm update from him on when they're going to be back and if they're going to miss Liverpool or not, I'm a bit suspicious over that, because we know how Mikel likes to operate when it comes to injury news. But yeah, definitely good news though. So fingers crossed over that. Sticking with injury fronts, Bellew got in touch and said, "Good morning, Charles. Why is it so quiet about the Havertz injury?" I think it's quite a simple answer to this one, Bellew. It's just the fact that certainly from the last time I spoke to anyone about Havertz was they didn't actually genuinely know. I didn't get the impression that was a smoke screen or anything like that. It was a case of they're just not sure. They've got to leave it a couple of weeks, really. That's the route they've decided to go down. Not straight away gone for surgery or anything like that. They want to let the knee settle down for a couple of weeks and then assess it again and see how things are going. And that's when they'll get a more definitive time frame on when he could be back, whether the decision to not immediately go for an operation is looking like the correct one. So I think that's why it's so quiet. It's just until probably a couple of weeks' time. I don't think we'll get any more updates really on it because everyone, Havertz is just letting it settle down. He's not doing anything with the knee. I'm sure he's probably sitting around with his knee brace on at home or going into the training ground and just speaking to the medical staff. But yeah, I think that's the main reason why it's so quiet is everyone is just waiting. There's a little bit of a window now where everything just has to settle down and then they'll revisit it and decide whether the route they've decided to go down is the correct one. So I think that's a fairly simple answer to that one, Bailey. But thank you very much for getting in touch. And from one knee injury to another, from Havertz to Gabriel Jesus, another striker, of course, but really good news on Gabriel Jesus. If you haven't seen it yet, go over. He put it out yesterday. I retweeted it. Lots of people have been doing it. But look, he's put out about 45-second, 1-minute video of him at London Colney working with the medical staff on the pitch in his training gear, on the grass, in his boots, but not just doing running, twisting and turning. He's working with the ball. So this is really, really positive. I think his the sort of tweet he put out actually had, let's have a look. It says, "It's been 7 months of pain, uncertainty and anxiety. Today, I finally feel light, like a child playing football again." And I think football, we also look at footballers as, I don't know, just these guys we put on a pedestal and all that sort of stuff. But when you break it down at the end of the day, yes, they're multimillionaires. Yes, they get paid all this money and they kind of live in a different world to what we do. But, football is their life. It's what they've been grown up to do. And when you lose it for 7 months, when you lose basically a year of your career, which is a short career, it must be so, so hard. And the rehab is so, so difficult. Just getting out of bed every single day to carry on doing it. Just, when you get to this point, sort of 7 months down the line, and you can tie on your boots again, you can get football out again, you can play on the grass again. It must just feel not that you're just a footballer, but you're kind of like you're a kid again. You've been given the opportunity to play the thing that you love and that you've worked so hard to get to where you are. So it's brilliant. I mean, he must be absolutely buzzing. And for Arsenal, it's huge. I mean, I'm not expecting him to be on the bench or anything like that against Liverpool. I would say at this point, he's still probably, 6 weeks, 2 months away from maybe being in contention. And this is whenever you talk to people about ACL, this is the really crucial period now. Once you get back, you start working, you start putting load in that knee, you start twisting and turning, getting the ball out, doing all that stuff. This is a really, really crucial period because at some point soon, you are going to start doing it with the rest of the players. And then, you've got how physical that is. It goes up another notch in terms of the speed and the pressure that you're putting on that knee. So this is the really crucial sort of 6 week, 2 month period now for Gabriel Jesus as he nears his comeback. But if he can get back, by November? How big a boost will that be to the squad? Really, really big boost. He was in great form before the injury. Is he going to come back and be at that sort of form straight away? You would have to say no. It's going to take him some time, obviously. But, if he can play a part over the second half of the season, it'd just be massive for Arsenal because he's such a good player. He is such a good player when he's fit and available and healthy. He's an excellent player and he can be really, really valuable for this squad. So great to see him coming back. And fingers crossed it won't be too much longer until we see him potentially involved in some match day squads. But let me know your thoughts on that, the injury news to Bukayo Saka and Martin Odegaard. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. What would you do with Gabriel Jesus? How much are you looking forward to seeing him back? Do you think he's going to have a part to play this season? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Right, moving on to a bit of transfer news now. This is one that's been rumbling away for a while. Victor Ozhianvuna, the 16-year-old player at Shamrock Rovers, that deal has now been agreed. We know that Arsenal have been very, very close to getting this deal done. It's not signed yet, but it has been agreed. And he will be moving to Arsenal when he turns 18, which is still in about 18 months' time. I think January 2027 shows how young he still is. But Arsenal agreed a fee. It's going to be about 2 million. It's going to break the 2 million barrier, which is going to be a record for an Irish club in terms of money received. I think the record at the moment stands someone called Melia or whatever his name was, the kid that Spurs signed. I think they spent 1.9 million to sign him. But Arsenal are going to be topping that for Victor Ozhianvuna, who's a 16-year-old left-sided player. I think at this age, when you listen to people who have watched him play and look at his attributes, they don't really know what his final position is going to be yet, whether he's going to be kind of left wing backy type player, whether he's going to be a left winger, we're not quite sure yet, but he's a really powerful player down that left-hand side. He's been playing since he's 16, scored some goals, good going forward. So yeah, it's another addition, more money spent for Arsenal as they look to sort of beef up the academy. We know they're really sort of planning to, well, they are investing in that area and planning to invest, significantly more as the next couple of years go forward. Per Saka has been working really, really hard on that. James King, the director of football operations at Arsenal as well, has taken a real lead on this as well, by all accounts. And they've got a deal done for a very, very highly rated player. But yeah, we're going to wait a fair while until we see him actually in the red and white for Arsenal, because not till January 2027 when he turns 18. But some bit of transfer news there. Jakub Kiwior, could we see some movement with him this week? Fabrizio Romano tweeting this morning that Porto are expected to come back with a second offer for Kiwior. We know those talks with Arsenal have been going on for a fair while now. Arsenal have rejected one offer, which is believed to be around 27 million euros for Kiwior from Porto earlier on in the window, but Porto is still there. They're still chasing, and Fabrizio reporting that he believes, or he's been told, that Porto will go in with a second offer for Kiwior this week. I do expect a big sale this week. I have to say, I've spoken about Kiwior many times now. I always see you guys jumping in the comments going, why are you trying to sell Kiwior? We need a really strong squad. And I agree. I said it yesterday. I don't want to necessarily sell him, but I am in a understanding that Arsenal do need to shift some players. They need to make the squad smaller, and they need to bring some money because of the money they've spent. And Kiwior, in my view, is the most sellable player in the squad right now. He's 25. He wants to play. He's not going to play that much at Arsenal if everyone's fit this season. So when those sort of stars align, it just wouldn't surprise me if this deal does get done. But it needs to happen at a price that reflects Kiwior's quality, his stature in the squad, how he finished last season. And that is what you would hope for. Arsenal are going to be really, really pushing for if Porto do really step things up when it comes to Kiwior this week. We'll see what happens with the rest of the players who could potentially go in there. It's only a week left of the window. Window shuts a week today. Kiwior, Zinchenko, Reece Nelson, Fabio Vieira, Sammy Lokonga, so many players we've spoken about throughout the window that nothing yet has materialised for. Well, the clock is now very, very much ticking. 7 days to go. And we'll see what happens with them. Fabrizio also tweeting today that he believes if Zinchenko and Kiwior go, that Arsenal might dip back into the market potentially for a defender, which will be interesting. And it wouldn't be a transfer window without Arsenal trying to sign a left back, I guess. So we'll see what happens with that. But let me know your thoughts on all of that when it comes to the transfer window, when it comes to Kiwior, when it comes to players going out, whether you think they need a replacement or not. If a couple of players do go, let me know your thoughts on that in the comments below. Well, let's go through a few comments and questions now before we wrap this one up. Matt has got in touch on the on Inside Arsenal Patreon message board. Says, do you read anything into Martinelli not featuring on Saturday? I know injuries influence substitutions. Mikel wanted to give Max some minutes, but I felt like it was a perfect chance to boost Martinelli's confidence by playing him. With our injury problems and the need to balance the books, do you think we'd entertain an offer for him now that Eze has signed and Leo is likely staying? I mean, every player's got a price, hasn't they? Do I think Arsenal would be actively looking to get Martinelli out the door in the next week? No, I don't see why you would do that. He's such an important player and you'd be weak in your squad. I'm delighted that Eze's come in. I'm delighted Madueke's come in. And I'm delighted that Arsenal haven't got rid of anyone, because the squad is real top quality now. They've got so many attacking options. So why would you look to weaken that? As I said, they need to sell some players, but I would not have Martinelli at the front of that queue. I would not have any of the attackers at the front of that queue, I have to say, because I think they're all going to play plenty of minutes. Do I read anything into him not featuring? I don't really. He started the game against United. Obviously wanted to start Madueke at the weekend. Like you said, Max wanted to come on. He wanted to get Max on. And Leo didn't play against United, so he wanted to share the minutes around and give Leo some minutes this weekend. And that's what he's going to have to do. I think we're just going to have to, I don't think we need to start reading into why players aren't playing that much this season, or at times, or won't play in 1 week and they will play the other week. Because I think that's what Mikel needs to get better at. It's what we want him to get better at, isn't it? We've called for it for a long, long time. So I just put it down to that. It's just sharing the load around, which I think is a really important thing to do. And I really want Mikel Arteta to get better at. And I think the signs so far, the fact that we saw Martinelli start against United, then doesn't play at all the next week. We didn't see Leo get any minutes against Man United. Then we see him come on the following week. Madueke didn't start against United. He starts the following week. I think that's what we got to see. And I think that's what we will see. And you add Eze into that mix, and we've got even more options to be able to do that. So I don't read anything more into it, Matt, I have to say. Do I think they'd entertain an offer for him? If a big offer came in for him this week, I think they'd have to look at it. I think they would, but it would have to be a big offer. If it's just a generic offer, then no way. It'd have to be a really big offer, because I certainly don't think they're actively looking to sell Martinelli before the window shuts. Right, we've got one from Tamuna, is it here, who's looking ahead to the Liverpool game on the back of some of the injuries that we've got. Saka and Trossard. Sorry, Saka and Odegaard. Says Mikel might start Trossard for Odegaard next week. Might play Rice as the right-sided CM and Trossard as the left-sided CM. So he's gone with the same back five: Rice, Zubimendi, and Trossard, Noni, Gyökeres, and Eze. Martinelli to come on and terrorise tired legs. I don't see that, I have to say. I think of all the options he's got, I don't really see him doing that. I just wouldn't be. I think Ethan would be higher up the list than Leo for that position, but I also think Mikel Merino will be higher up that list potentially. It might mean that Rice moves over to the right-hand side and he brings Merino in and goes to a little bit more experience and stature potentially in the midfield. I'm not sure he would play Trossard in that role away at Anfield, but you never know. I mean, you could even play Eze there, and then you play Trossard on the left side of the attack, if you see what I mean. So sort of swap those two around, but it's going to be interesting, and I'd love to get your thoughts on it as well as we gear up to that game at Anfield at the weekend in terms of the injuries and who plays where. If Odegaard doesn't make it, if Saka doesn't make it, what would you do? Let me know your thoughts on it. I'm sure this is going to be an ongoing debate that we're going to have throughout the week in terms of who plays where. So Tamuni saying Trossard maybe in the midfield option with Eze on the left-hand side. Do you agree or not? Let me know in the comments below. Mr. Kingdom has got in touch. It's hi, Charles. Thanks so much for your updates. No problem. Thank you very much for your support and for watching the channel. He said, did you see the club's video of Eze talking to Righty? I've never seen a player arrive at a club and show so much emotion. It shows just how much he really wanted to be here. I have seen it, yes. And if you guys haven't watched this yet, get over to arsenal.com and watch the Eze Ian Wright interview. And then come back to me at the end of it and tell me your eyes weren't filling up when you were watching it. As an Arsenal fan, honestly, listening to Eze speak, I knew it was going to be a really emotional video, but listening to Eze speak about the dream he's had since he was a boy of coming back here and playing for Arsenal, listening to someone talk with that much passion about being here. Oh, obviously, he's got to perform on the pitch. Absolutely, he's got to perform on the pitch, and I think he will because he's such a good player, but it's just impossible not to be touched by that as an Arsenal fan, I think, because he's basically living all of our dreams and he's fought so hard to come back and do it. He talks about how he felt every time like he's played against Arsenal at the Emirates, he's felt like he's been on trial because he just he's wanted to impress everyone who's there so that he gets a chance of coming back and signing for the club. He talks about the number 10 shirt, what it means. He talks about Thierry Henry, how he grew up idolising him, and then Wright gives him the phone and shows him a message that Henry has sent him, and you can just see how proud he is of himself, what it means to his family, everything about it. It's an unbelievable video. It's brilliant from Righty as well, who give that man a statue, Arsenal. Honestly, how has Righty not got a statue at the Emirates? I just don't understand it. Why wait? Why wait? He is literally a hero of this football club. If anyone, and I know lots of people deserve statues, and it's an ongoing conversation of who should have a statue or not. But the fact that Ian Wright hasn't got a statue outside, I just don't get it. I will never get it. I don't know what they're waiting for. Give that man a statue. Him and Rocky together. I mean, it's just perfect. Just do it. Why wait? Why wait? The guy is an absolute treasure. An absolute treasure. But anyway, yes, just go and watch that video, right, in Eze. It is brilliant. 12 minutes, 13 minutes long. And you will not want to turn it off. You'll want to listen to every single word because it is absolutely well worth the watch. So yes, Mr. Kingdom, I agree 100%. The emotion that he shows, you don't get a signing like that every day of the week that means that much to every player. In a world where football is kind of so sterile nowadays, or seen as so sterile, and it's all about, oh, why did you want to sign for the club? I want to play Champions League football, all that sort of stuff. Which I get. It is a profession at the end of the day. But then you get a video like this, and it's not about just, I want to play Champions League football. It's about, I just wanted to sign for Arsenal. It's been my dream forever. And you hear an interview like that, and you see what it means to the player. It's just lovely. It was really, really touching. So get over and watch that. I do urge you to do it. And that's it for me today, everyone. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you for listening. As always, enjoy your bank holiday if you're over here in the UK. Enjoy your Monday if you're anywhere else in the world. I'll be back tomorrow to do it all over again. Anything you want me to discuss, anything you've heard in this video, you've agreed with, disagreed with, let me know your thoughts on it in the comments below, and I'll pull some of them together and get them included tomorrow. Take it easy, everyone. Have a great day. Speak to you soon. Bye-bye.